active voice and passive voice. Before understanding to convert active voice into passive voice, you need to understand that there are 12 kind of sentences and there are 8 kind of sentences of which you can make active and passive. You can see the table here that how you can make or of which tenses you can make the active and passive voice. Where there is a tick, that means we make the active and passive voice of these tenses. But where there is a cross, that means we do not make active and passive voice of those tenses. Now you can see tick on a present indefinite means we make active and passive voice of a present indefinite. Similarly, present continuous, present perfect, past indefinite, past continuous, past perfect, and future indefinite, future perfect. So these are the tenses of which we make active and passive voice. Before learning how to convert active voice into passive voice, you need to understand these rules. These rules are the easy tricks by which you can convert any active voice into passive voice. And that will be easier for you to understand. Rule number 1 is object will be converted into subject. Means basically, what is the object in a sentence? Object is a word that is basically comes at the end of the sentence, or you can say the last word in any sentence, that is object. So object will be converted into subject means object will come and become a subject. Number 2 is changes. And what are those changes? You will see those changes in the next slide. Rule number 3 is V3. V3 means third form of verb. There will be third form of verb in passive voice. And after writing third form of verb, you will write be, by. Subject will be converted into object. Rule number 4 is subject will be converted into object. As in rule number 1, object was converted into subject means of course we have to move subject to the object. So these are the 4 rules through which you can convert active voice into passive voice. If you see the rules in detail, you will get confused. But I have given you the simple tricks through which you can understand how to convert active into passive voice. So rule number 2, changes. Here you can see rule number 2, changes. As I told you that you will see all those rules in the next slide. So these are all those rules. V1 means first form of verb. If there will be first form of verb in any tense, that will be converted into is, am, are. V2, that means if there will be second form of verb in any tense, that will be converted into was and were. Means of course, V1 means present tense, V2 means past tense. So present tense will be converted into is, am, are. And of course, past tense will be converted into was, were. Has, have, had. Has will be converted into has been. Have will be converted into have been. Had will be converted into had been. Will be converted into will be. Will be converted into will have been. ing will be changed into being. There are last two lines. You can see last two lines is, am, are. Was, were. If there will be written is, am, are, was, were in any active voice, there will be no change. I have told you all these rules by which you can convert any active voice into passive voice. Now let's solve it, or you can say let's practice it, how to convert them. So you can see the objects, you can see the rules on left side in green box. We will try to convert active voice into passive voice by seeing these rules. Example number 1 is written, he eats apple. You can see here, he eats apple. So rule number 1 you can see on the left side is object will be converted into subject. He eats apple, so apple is the object. And we read in rule number 1 that all object will be converted into subject. So apple will become subject, and subject is basically the very first word in a sentence. So apple we have converted into here subject. So apple. Rule number 2 you can see is changes. First we need to understand that is it present tense, past tense or future tense. He eats apple, eat. You can see there is written s with the verb eat, eats. That means it is a present tense. So you can see on the changes that V1 means the first form of the verb. Do, does. If there will be written first form of the verb, that will be converted into is, am, are. So eats is the present tense, and that is a present tense, or you can say the first form of the verb. That will be converted into is, am, are. Now first we have to understand the subject is singular or plural. Apple is singular, so we will write is. We use is with singular and we use are with plural. So apple is singular, so we will write is. So that will become apple is. Now you can see rule number 3 is V3, means we will use third form of the verb. So third form of eat is eaten. That will become apple is eaten. You can see on rule number 3 that V3 by. After putting third form of the verb, we will write by, by. So apple is eaten. After eaten, we will write by, by. And the last rule number 4 is subject will be converted into object. And what is the subject? You can see in the sentence, subject is he. You can see here, he is the subject and he will be converted into object. There are also some rules how to convert subject into object. You can see here in this box, if there will be written he will be converted into him. She will be converted into her. It, they, them, we, us, I, me, and you will remain you. So in our sentence, the subject is he. He will be converted into him. You can see here, he will be converted into him. So our answer will become apple is eaten by him. So I hope you have understood that how to convert active voice into passive voice with the help of these rules. So with the help of these rules, we have written or we have practiced example number 1. And I have written example number 2 and 3 for you. I hope you have understood this topic. If you have liked my video, please understand it and subscribe my channel, like my video, share it, and thank you for watching my video.